Hi, my name is Bianca Ambrosio,
My name's Pilar Arsenic.
and we're here to discuss The Anger Meridian by Kaylee Jones from Akashic Books. It's a small press focusing on urban literature with stories that aren't in the mainstream. So, what do you think about The Anger Meridian? What are the three most important things to you that you can gather from this story?
Well, the main one was the relationship between the mother and daughter, the effect on the mother, had on her sense of loss of identity, and also how she regains her trust. But then there's also this main theme through the book that has a lot to do with lying.
Lying is bad in this book because people are constantly getting themselves into trouble, and they're not connecting with people in the way that they can be connecting because there's so much between them, stopping them from being able to reveal their true selves. But it's amazing to me in this book how Maren, the main character and the protagonist in this story, slowly but surely lets her guard down and allows people into her life, even the people that she didn't assume would be true to her. For example, Dr. Handsome.
Yes. That was a big one.
Yes, the relationship made a 180. He was a doctor that slept with much older women for money in his town for his medical practice for children. And in the end, they both come to the realization that they're not going to let people abuse them anymore. They're not going to sell themselves. They're not going to be objects anymore. And they're going to...
That was brilliant.
That was very,
the
very
way
good.
that particular relationship, the way Kaylee Jones wrote the characters and how they all evolved. Somehow they all evolved. And I thought that was brilliant.
Very, very brilliant. And then Maren's relationship with her mother, Bibi, is very codependent. Bibi's very abusive. She calls her daughter names. She doesn't believe that she's a competent human being. And she often says daddy, talking about how amazing daddy is. In the meanwhile, daddy is Bibi, Maren's mother's father. It's not even her own husband. It's not even Bibi's own husband. She does not seem to respect her own husband. In the meanwhile, her husband is said to be a kind man, but he died when Maren was very young. And now Maren has her own child, a little girl who's a brilliant young girl, and who actually brilliant chess player and pulls through for her mother in the end of the book and many times throughout the book.
I would say she was the hero.
I would think she's a hero. She's a very cute little girl. Very.
Totally. And you're probably wondering what the meaning of Anger Meridian. Like, why is that the title of the book? Well, it just so happens that Maren was having a lot of problems sleeping, and one of the yoga instructors that she was seeing for help, she was into yoga, explained to her that the Anger Meridian was why she was waking up at night. She wasn't able to sleep.
And she had
TMJ, migraines. She was under a lot of stress. She was taking meds just to try to cope with all of this. And he explained that at 3 a.m, people usually wake up out of their sleep, and it's usually where all their anger festers, and so it breaks their sleep, and they're under a lot of stress. So it's called the Anger Meridian. And he kind of cured it. Well, she got cured after her mother died. But at the same token, he gave her some tea that was a natural tea that was actually, she was able to sleep from this tea that he gave her.
I want that tea.
I want it too. Because it's really weird. Like when I started reading this book, and I was like, wow, I wake up at 3 a.m, I'm like, that's kind of creepy, But, I struggle with my sleep sometimes. So it is a nice alternative instead of popping pills, right? So yeah, this book was pretty, I don't know, there was multiple layers to this that really touched me in different ways. What about you?
Yeah, I think to me the thing that stood out the most was the relationship between Maren and her mother. And I think in the end when her mother dies, it's symbolic of something a burden being lifted off Maren's shoulders, and then her headaches disappear, and whatever was inside of her seems to have dissipated. She seems to be in a very good place. And the setting was also phenomenal in the story. I want to go to San Miguel.
Beautiful. I mean, Kaylee Jones, the way the detail and description and setting, the way she wrote, it's like you're actually there. You were able to see everything. She described the sky. She described the mountains. She described the dust. She described everything to such a detail, but not overboard. Like just so right on point. And it's like I fell in love with her writing. This is the first book I ever read by her, and I'm in love with her writing style. She's a beautiful writer.
And then we're envisioning San Miguel to be this amazing place to live, and then we figure out from Callisto that there's so many poor people there.
Callisto, let's explain who Callisto is.
Callisto was her mother's protege, but it is said that they had a sort of relationship.
It's very common, actually, from what I hear, and from wealthy Americans that move to Mexico and take on a younger suitor, and so they kind of fund them, but it's sort of exploited in a sense. It's like they're like dogs in a sense. They're treated as such. Yeah, they're being taken care of, but it's like the rich people take advantage of the poverty, and so they have that over them, sort of like that control over the men because they're poor. So it's just nasty. I think.
Very big theme throughout the story. And Marin comes into a large sum of money, and instead of being selfish and keeping it all, hoarding it all, she actually gives Callisto money to start his own business, in which he's able to become independent.
Yeah, after him not being so nice to her, and that's part of it because of Bibi. But she was able to, Marin was able to redeem herself and show who she was a much better person than Bibi was.
So all the people that were talked about in a negative way at the beginning of the story actually had their own demons that they were fighting and turned around to cooperate with Marin and be vulnerable with her, and in a way that they could all unite and help one another instead of be against one another.
Which is my point earlier, that there was evolution in each of the characters. Nobody actually stayed the same. Like everyone, Marta, there were certain things, there were certain characters that were just the same throughout,
But they weren't
like
central. It didn't matter.
Bibi's friend, but like the main characters, there was evolution that took place, which I thought was beautiful.
Overall, it was a very touching story. I recommend that you read it.
Yeah, I
The
highly
Anger
recommend
Meridian by Kaylee Jones from Akashic Books.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it. I rated 5 stars, and I will be reading more by Kaylee Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Bye.